Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Around the Ballpark podcast. You're live for your March 22nd, and we are nearing that episode 160 mark. Can you believe it? Just over 2 years, Darren, of doing this thing, and I so much look forward to this every Sunday night and Thursday night. So glad to be here live with you guys. Tonight, we have a very special guest. We'll get to know him in just a minute. But as we always do before each and every podcast, at the very start, we have to give a shout out to our proud sponsors over at Nashville Tax Solutions.
You know, Nashville Tax Solutions wants everyone to know this. With, the big tax day coming up, April 15th. And, if you're dealing with tax issues, maybe you're behind on filings or you're hit with a lien, it happens. But, we want to tell you about Nashville Tax Solutions. Chris Bennett and his team, they know their stuff and they actually care about helping you fix it, which is very, very important, obviously. People from all over. When I was down in Palm Bay a couple of months ago, people Fort Pierce and people who have, written the show, said that Chris Bennett and his team turned a financial nightmare into peace of mind. And that's the kind of organization you want behind you when something like this happens. So if tax stress is keeping you up, call 855-627-4829. Visit NashvilleTaxSolutions.com or email info@NashvilleTaxSolutions.com. Nashville Tax Solutions, real people who will get you real results. Back to you, Mike.
Yes. Thank you. And speaking of Christopher Bennett, this past Tuesday, he let me know last Sunday that if USA made it to the championship, he would be there. And so true to his word, right before opening pitch on Tuesday night, I got a text message from Chris himself, and he said that he was there. Had great seats. He had a photo with Ken Griffey Jr., of course, because why not? He's all over the place. Yeah. So, so he had a blast there. Of course, USA didn't win, but still a great game. If you're a true baseball fan, you definitely enjoyed that. So that was awesome. We, of course, had softball, so I just got home for the 8th and 9th innings. I missed most of it, but I kind of caught up and all that kind of stuff. But, we have a very special guest here with us tonight. The last few episodes, as you know, we've kind of, since it's the off season for Major League Baseball, we've had our top 10 this and our top 10 game shows and 80s and 90s sitcoms and all that stuff. But tonight, we have a very special guest. So Tommy O, you're here with us. Go ahead, if you would mind, just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, all that good stuff, and then we'll get to talking. We have a lot of fun topics to chat about, but want to get to know you first.
How we doing, guys? Yeah, so Tommy O here. Mike, obviously we're playing softball together. You guys are friends here. So ran the show, just refer to me as Tyler. We're boys. What's up. So about myself, been playing softball now for the last couple seasons with you, Mike, as you know. But full story on me, I did 6 years in the Marine Corps, fresh out of high school. In between that, serving in the reserves. When I came down to Florida, originally from Philadelphia, I got into aviation. So I've been working in aviation the last decade, and spent the other portion of part of my civilian career in and out of security work. And still in that type of world, but now in a more content creator, brand ambassadorship in the gun world, and then still playing athletics.
I think having that healthy balance, because that's something for me personally, I'm blessed to have both a Monday through Friday job where I work from home. Also work as within church staff at the house church, Palm Bay. But both those jobs are very sit down, do this, file that, type this, type that. So it's very important to get out, whether it's playing softball, going to the gym, going for a walk just to stay active, because when you have 2 sit-down jobs, it's very easy to develop some bad habits and things like that. So definitely I'm trying to remind myself each day, like, get up, stretch a little bit, go here, do that, do this, because it's very simple to hours to go by. You just get into the groove of what you're doing. And, so that's not great for you. So some people will play several nights a week. I used to be able to do 2-3 nights a week. I think I'm happy with the one for right now. Although when it rains out, it's kind of a bummer, because then you got to wait a full week to play again. So, but yeah, so we have a lot to talk about. I wanted to first kind of dive into, I mentioned going to the gym and conditioning and things like that. So I wanted to ask you first, I'm not sure how often you go and your conditioning, but just from what I know, like for the most part, unless you have something going on at work, you're one of the first to show up at the softball field. And obviously you're not just kind of sitting on the bench or just soft tossing the ball. You're out there, you're, moving around, you're getting amped up, that sort of thing. So just explain how important that is. Like, do you notice a noticeably difference in your play when you just kind of get there and get on the field versus when you actually get to stretch it out, conditioning throughout the week, some prep that you might do on game day, that sort of stuff? Because I definitely notice a difference for myself.
Yes, that's just been something that's been in my routine forever, being an athlete. So starting back, I started playing sports at a young age and worked all the way up through to the collegiate level. I was a hurdler in track and field, and I played football. And then in between, elementary all the way to high school, I would play a season or two of basketball, a couple seasons of baseball, and just dabble in everything, trying to make myself a better athlete. But the core sports I always had was track and football. But the biggest thing, like you said, showing up and stretching and getting prepared, I just have a routine where I know the things I need to do that I've taken over the course of time of playing sports, of like what I need to do for my body to be ready. And that transferred from one sport to the next, to the military, to the mentality of going into what I'm about to go do. So now I'm just combining it all together for what's needed when we go out there on our nights to play. And it's funny you say that, mentioning you're just playing the one night a week, and about halfway through our season, our good friend Charlie got me, and now I'm playing in the Thursday nights with him. And we just played playoffs. Unfortunately, we lost. We're going in the losers bracket now. But it was one of those things, just as an athlete, and you kind of understand how the games go. And with our league, sometimes you get a lot of action. Sometimes it's like, man, where'd the hour just go? Nothing happened. So
Yes,
been starting to play twice a week for now. Will I pick that up next season? We'll see. But yeah, I'd say if I show to a game kind of right at tee off, because my job holds me late and I gotta fulfill a duty, in rushing through things, like it's more of a mentality rather than a physical thing of like, okay, I didn't run my routine, am I right? Sometimes I definitely feel it, but it just takes an extra second to kind of get back into the swing of things. But I know when I show up early and I run my routine, I do the stretches in the cadences that I want to do, and I do my warm-up jogs, I do my throws, I do my warm-up swings. I'm just in a mentally ready, locked in place when we take the field. Like, I am never nervous. I'm confident. I'm like, I did everything that I could to prepare myself for what's about to happen. I have no doubt on anything that happens on the field. Knowing my capabilities, I can make those capabilities happen. Versus there's times where, hey, I didn't get that proper warm-up. If that one anomaly goes that way, can I make that break to make that play?
Right. Especially, we just got out of our 2-month cold season. And so you get out there in January, and I feel like this was the coldest, I don't know if I can call it winter, but the coldest midwinter, I don't know, that we've had in a long time. And I think we had 3 start times where the temperature were in the 40s or low 50s, which is uncommon for us down here. There's one week where I feel like it was maybe 39, 40. It was very cold out there. And so you just get out and get on the field without doing all that stuff, you're going to definitely feel that or hurt yourself first time running to first base. So that's so important. And the chemistry and stuff with the team as well. You don't you don't want to just be getting there 6:29, take the field, and then that hour is going to go by even quicker. So you do want to get with the boys or the gal that's on the team. Eileen mentions Thursday at Florida Avenue or like the Wild West. Yeah, so I used to do Thursdays for many years out there at Florida Avenue, and it was great at first, and then it got to like you're looking around. This one's drinking, and that one's doing this, and so you try to be the light in sometimes of a darker place, and so if you're around the right people, it's fine. It just you have to kind of be mindful out there because there's certain people that will try to drag you down or things like that, and so I miss it, but I don't. I wish there was another church league night available or something, but for now. I actually tried joining a 45 and up league, but they didn't wind up getting enough interest. So kind of paused that for now. But, and I think a few others right from our team play on Thursdays too. I think Gil and maybe one or two others.
Gil is actually on my team.
Okay.
Gil
Yeah.
and Leo are on my team.
On your team. That's fine. With Charlie and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does help though. Like if you can't make one day, at least you have the other one. Obviously want ideal perfect week, you'd be out there for both, So Darren, I wanted to ask you when it comes to, because going to the gym is a big part of your life as well. And how do you, and then Tyler, you can go right after that, but how do you kind of those days where you're like, I'm not feeling it today. It'll be okay. I'll go this day and I'll go that day. How do you avoid those kinds of trends? Because I know me, I always have excuses. Oh, it's 17 minutes out of the way. I'm never really that way. So I'll just do a walk instead. But there's just nothing like actually being at the gym or doing a good workout. So what is your strategy for not allowing that to happen?
Well, first I would say that at least you're doing the walk. At least you're doing something. But there's that mindset that says, I would never want to let somebody else down, right? Why would I let myself down? Why would I cheat myself? And so some workouts are a lot better than others. And if you're sick, for example, you may miss a workout or injured. But I just know that it's my responsibility to myself. And I need to get it done. And I know from a psychological standpoint, I just feel better overall when I get to the gym. It's time that I can focus on myself and sound mind, sound body. I try to put, whether it's a podcast that I listen to, whether it's something that I'm working on, an audiobook or whatever, when I get my workout in. And it makes me a better human. It really does. Because
you're always glad you did it once you do it.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. It's, and, like you get there and like then you're just, okay, I made it. And then you're on whatever machine you go to. I have my certain ones I will avoid and then the ones I'll go to. But I find that I have these patterns like, oh, I made 6 out of 10 days and then 3 weeks go by and it's like, okay, what am I doing here? So I have to figure out a way to make that more of a priority. And it's easy to do that. And like, it's kind of like the whole, which I don't do New Year's resolutions, but it's easy to like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then January 6th comes and you're done,
Right.
So, and I always wonder too at the gym, like the people, they see people walk in on January 1st, January 2nd, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to see these guys next week. Like that just, oh, everyone, I'm going to change this and for the better. And I'm going to do that. But Eileen mentioned from Thursday nights, one time the dugouts cleared because the opposing team called me the B word. There was a lot of that out there. I didn't want the runner in the first place. That's what started the fight. There's just a lot of toxicity out there. I don't know. I haven't been there in a little bit, but I was there over 20 something years. I was coaching and playing out there at Florida Avenue, which makes me sound really old. But started at 18 and I didn't leave till I was, I think 38, 39 before I moved to the church league. But so at the church league, so talking about that for a little bit. So when obviously there's a lot going on. Like we have actually less players than most teams. We carry 14 to 15. A lot of teams carry like 18, 19. And so we're actually considering having a second like rookie team maybe in the fall. Would be basically the existing team would stay the same. And then the new guys would just start their own team and starting from scratch and stuff if there's enough interest at the church. But obviously there's so much going on. Sometimes like even myself, like I'll make a decision in hindsight. I'm like, okay, that was the right decision. And afterwards I'm like, yeah, I should have probably done that. So even this season, there's been one or two things. I'm like, you know what? I probably gave into this, probably shouldn't have done that. All right, I'll just do better next time. But I'm constantly thinking like 52 steps ahead. You kind of have to, like, because you want to know, okay, where's this one going to go that next inning? You know, am I going to play this person just to make sure they get some playing time? There's so much that goes on into it. So from your perspective, not having to coach the team, but playing on the team, like, how do you think you would handle like kind of overseeing a team, coaching a team, like that kind of thing? Like, would that be, because some people it's just not for them. Like there are times where I'm like, man, it'd be fun to just show up and play sometimes. But the other times I'm like, I love that part of it as well. Because I can try to separate friendship from what's best for the team, but then also like, hey, we're not going to be in the local paper here. Like we're here to have a good time and be competitive, but it's not the end of the world if we don't win a game on a Tuesday night. So what is your thoughts on that? Like kind of seeing it from a different perspective of like having to oversee a team versus just getting to go out there and play.
It's completely two different worlds. I will tell you that, as you know. How I feel personally about taking on a role like that, I'd say underqualified. Biggest reason is I've never been really a baseball mindset person. I started really digesting all of what the intricacies of baseball and the art of the game in the more later years now, versus like I grew up playing football and understanding everything about that game. So something on like that scale, being a coach, like I understand both sides of it, where I'm still learning a lot of baseball strategies still, especially with player movement and when to move them, how to position build a lineup. Versus like you're being an athlete, you just think, hey, I got to go out there, I got to make these plays, I got to, am I in position when the ball goes here? I'm thinking about those things. So I still feel I'm in the adolescence of like my baseball career.
Still early on, yeah.
Being a coach, where I'd see myself more as, I'd say, as like a captain, based off my experience and athletic abilities, to share that advice and kind of help coordinate players, kind of help shift them and move them around when like on the field.
Right.
So being able to, when you have to sub guys, what's best for the team, how to make a lineup where things gel the best, that's an art in itself. And it's not something that anybody can just pick up and go through. Now, is it something that if the task was handed to me, would I take it? I mean, absolutely. It's an awesome opportunity for coaching, especially if someone's trusting you enough to coach a team and guys looking to you to be their leader and, build a team and line it up in a way and position the players in the right way to get wins. So it's an responsibility to take on. And if the opportunity, like I said, was presented, I 100% take it. But
it's interesting because like Darren, like for example, I noticed that we have a guy that plays first base that can't make it all the time, and I was like, we have an abundance of outfielders right now, but there's one guy that's standing out where I'm like, okay, I know he likes to be, and I'm talking about you, of course, Tyler, but like prefer to be in the outfield, but I'm like, I see something where you have that ability out there, and I know you haven't been a baseball mindset guy forever, but you have that ability to not just make the play. You're kind of like in your head, you're like, okay, if this goes here, I'm backing up this one. If it goes this, I'm going to do that. You're kind of thinking before the play happens. A lot of not just our team, but a lot of people are just, okay, the play happens, let me react. I feel like you have that mindset. Like you're kind of thinking like above that. And so when I was like, first base might be a great balance for when we are shorthanded or when he's not here, because you're not just there to play first base. Like you're constantly moving around, you're backing up. Just in the three games now that you played there this season when Ivan hasn't been there. So not necessarily that I had an eye for that. It's more you want to look out for those guys that are less about themselves and more about the team. And I think that's what you are. That's why I love having you on the team so much, is you're constantly not just what can I do to help the team win, but how can I make other people better, and how can I be of help when the play is not even to me. And we noticed that this past Tuesday firsthand, was we were down we used to have 8 people, Darren, that can play outfield, and 4 of them weren't there. So we had 4, which is fine. But there was some defensive kerfuffles, was the word we like to use in our first.
Yes.
And we were playing a team that was 500, but they destroyed us because we just, for whatever reason, it was just their night. Like, it was their best night probably they've had in years. And I was like, I miss that depth. And that's why, even though I prefer to have Tyler in the outfield, that's why I like having you first here and there, because when you don't, that's where those kind of things really stand out. When you don't have those extra bodies and you just have everyone there, then not having that depth was like, oof, and so that's where, and you're trying to keep everybody happy, and this one sat more than this one. Now, when it comes to playoffs, you have that mentality, and I think you'd agree, Darren, too, is you have to go, okay, if I'm batting 11, then there may be 3 guys that don't see the field at all, or maybe they're just running, or maybe they're doing a defensive inning. But yes, it's not all about winning. But when you come to the playoffs, you kind of have to take that. Okay, you almost have to put a hierarchy in terms of things, and it gets a little bit more complicated. So during the season, you try to get everyone equal playing time or as much as possible. And Eileen mentions coaching a group of men was so challenging. Her little voice trying to tell huge dudes what's up. And we were in the playoffs both seasons. We've had all different sorts of teams. Like right now we're more guy heavy, but we've had several teams with 5 or more females on them. And we've won the championship 2 times in a row, runner up in the A division last year. So we've been definitely showing up, especially in a league now with 17 teams. I'm looking forward to the fall. I'll be spearheading the schedule and stuff again, like I did last fall. So that'll be fun. But so let me ask you this before we move on to the next topic. Last softball related question. I'll start with you, Darren, and I'll go to you, Tyler. What would be your strategy in terms of starting with you, Darren, in terms of playoff softball, where 1 week we have a 1 week more of games and then the season goes to the playoffs? So what would be your strategy, Darren, in terms of a playoff roster, in terms of like who's getting on the field versus who may not be like on the field, but like stay ready, have your cleats on, don't be in the bleachers talking to your friends, be ready, because at any point I might need you out there. But having that, look, guys, these particular people give us the best chance to win. So I'm glad that you're here. You're definitely making strides, but we have to really put our best, foot forward if we're going to be where the goal we want to accomplish. So what is your thought on that in terms of how you would organize your playoff roster versus regular season?
Well, see, let me unpack that just a little bit. And I come from a background where I also played collegiate football, coached collegiate football on Division III level, coached Division I softball on the collegiate level, head coach of the high school softball team. And I bring that up not from any hubris, but from a fact of that actually strategy that is addressed preseason. Hey, here's what we're doing. And you create a vibe, right? Hey, we'll go out, we'll have, a couple of chicken wings before or after, or whatever the case may be. Maybe once a week, we're going to get together and have some food or whatever, some companionship. But what do we want to get out of this? And you build consensus. Well, I just want to exercise. Okay, that's lovely. And you kind of figure it all out. But then you say, listen, do we want to show up for the playoffs? Oh, yeah, we do. Okay, so what do we want to do in the playoffs? Well, we want to win. So do you want to win, or do you want to make sure that you play 3 innings because maybe you're not going to be able to play? Is that okay? Now, if you say no, but you get outvoted, you now have to make a decision, which is fine, and I honor your decision, but you need to make a decision because this is what we're going to do because we just had built consensus. And so this is what our strategy is. So you never have, and by the way, if you're in the stands with your cleats off, right? No, that's not, listen, I don't care if we're playing softball or we're playing Monopoly. The game's over here.
Yes.
The game's over here. So, you're the same person that yell, and I'd make a joke, but you're the same person who'll yell if the Housewives of LA is on and somebody's going to the other room. You want to make sure everybody's engaged. This is it. We're all together. This is where you belong.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like when there's a time and a place before the game is fine, but during those 2 hours, like we need to be united on the united front. And if that means standing up against the fence, if that means, it just means we're not on our cell phones. We're not, and it's not being rude or disrespectful to the people that came to watch us play, but it's just about, we can't be united front on the field if we're not even a united front in the dugout. So, so my final question to you, Tyler, before we go into the last two topics, and Tom's with us as well. Thanks for watching. So Tyler, what is your overall thoughts? I guess I'll put the question this way. The type of team that we have, like there's some weeks where it's just not gelling defensively or offensively. We're like, but then there's other times where I'm like, the sky is legit the limit for this team. So like, where do you see this team? Because we're in the most difficult division in the playoffs. It is what it is, whatever. But what is your overall, no wrong answers here, synopsis of where we are and where we could finish this season based on how we gel or as a team and our abilities and our talents and stuff like that? Where do you kind of see us kind of finishing up?
I think that's going to go all the way right back to question you asked Aaron, is like how do you build this lineup going in the playoffs? And this year, I know you did a lot of experimenting with players in different positions, like one with me as an emergency first baseman and how that played out. And I had no idea it was going to play out the way it did. And thankfully, it played out well for both of us. But I think the biggest thing that's going to determine how well we do finishing this season, because I think we can win the championship this year. I have no doubt in my mind. The difference between last season and this season, I would say, was the consistency of the two different kind of lineups we had last year versus this year, where there hasn't been a lot of consistency on what the lineup is. It's been changed a lot of times. And I understand, like you said, like we spoke about, you were trying different things out and figure out where fits who the best. But what's going to really determine our fate rest of the season is building this playoff based off of the receipts we have on this season. So looking back across our year and looking at the roster lineups that we had for some of our best games, and where like we had our best games when guys were in this position. So I'll use an example. In last season, I would see our team where I thought there isn't a soul on earth that can beat us.
Love that.
When Gil was at third base, Cal Sr. was at first, Matt was playing second, and Mark was playing shortstop. I was playing left center, Gabe right center, Aaron was to my left in right field, and Miguel was out in left field. I felt like no matter what happened on that, like we all just felt in sync together. I think building a roster based off of the receipts we've had of our best games this year is like, which version of a lineup did we look the most in sync together, versus like, oh, you're a great this, and you're a great that, and you're a great that, and trying to build a super team, versus having guys next to each other that just feed off of each other's athletic ability and energy and playmaking.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like equipping us to gel the best way is going to determine like how far we go. And I think we have the skill set to win. Like we've always had it, especially from the previous season to last season to where we're at now. Even with the loss of Josh with his injury, I don't see why we couldn't win the championship.
Right. Yeah. Because like I was sitting there, like there's one time with the infield alone, I was like, I think I had a little different, but I had Caleb at third, Gil at short, Calvin at second, and Ivan at first. And then I had our usual guys in the outfield. I'm like, man, like this is the legit best possible. And sometimes it still works. And then sometimes it's still a little bit off, but sometimes there's nothing you can do. Like if you're playing shallow, they hit over your head. If you play too deep, they're going to hit in front. The game that you weren't there for on Tuesday, the first game, we had the right people in the places based on who we had, but they kept hitting it in front of us. So we'd move up and they kept hitting over our head. And so like they were just getting extra bases after extra bases. And nothing was going to change their their trajectory that night. And I felt like there's been times most of last season and times this season where that I see that, and then there's other times where it's just not the plays aren't going our way, that sort of thing. So definitely understand, and Joshua's a big bat that you miss in the lineup for sure, but we still have legit great roster. We have depth. That's the key. It's just a matter of putting it all together at the right time and playing on one accord, not for themselves and things like that. So we typically, just so you know, we typically go till about 9 stuff. So I definitely want to make sure I have time to talk about the last two areas here.
I did want to make I do want to make another mention, because he's one of those players that you put him anywhere and he's a ball player. And there's a reason why he's playing in our All-Star game is Caleb.
Yes.
He's another person he has to be on the field. I love watching him play between third, shortstop, and second. When he's out there, plays get made.
And it's funny you say that, because on Tuesday, everything happened the first game, and I called Caleb aside. I was like, look, I'm going to ask you to do something. It's going to be a one-time thing. I'm not going to ask you to do this again, but for tonight, I need you in left center. We needed to shift some things around. They had the second team we were playing, it's a very heavy right field hitting team. So I moved Gabe over there purposely, because a lot of people hit the line in right field, and they did. And thankfully he was there to get them out. But I was like, I need the assignment for this game, Caleb, is left center. I know that you're an infielder, but you're great out there as well. I know you don't get to the balls as quick as others, but you're going to not make that error. You're going to keep the ball in front of you, that kind of thing. And thankfully it worked out, but it was because we were down who we were down, and I needed that. That was where the hole was for this week. So I appreciate that very much when you have that person that can understand the assignment and knows that, don't worry, I'm not like, you're going to be an outfielder now, Caleb. We already have 8 of those, but he understood the assignment for that week, and it worked out great. Now it's back to where you belong next week, that sort of thing. Yeah. So super excited to be coaching him and Calvin this Tuesday at the All-Star game. This will be the first time I'm doing coaching an All-Star team. So thankfully we have a pitcher. I was worried about that, because I was like, wait a minute, I wonder if these teams even, because they just picked, 1 or 2 per team. It's 10 versus 10. And I was like, all right, hopefully we have a pitcher, because that can change the whole thing. But thankfully we have Calvin who can pitch, and we have one other guy. So I wanted to, before we touch on the last topic, I want to just briefly touch on St. Patrick's Day just for a quick minute, because I'm 50% Irish myself. Obviously, Darren Irish as well, and all that stuff. And I know you had some recent St. Patrick's Day plans, but how big is that to you and your family? Like, I know from my dad, before he passed on, he marched in the parade every single year, and it was one of his highlights of the year. And he used to actually do Irish step dancing back in the 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade days. I think that was more because there were girls that were doing it, that I was like, oh, let me just
listen, brother, seriously, you were good at it. I
had to make that choice, softball or that, and I chose softball at the time, but I did enjoy it. I think I did pretty well. Finished pretty good. Yeah. But yeah, so I just wanted to ask you, Tyler, your thoughts on St. Patrick's Day as a whole. Is it really like a thing every year where you set aside time, you do a certain thing, or is it just, another day on the calendar for you?
I wouldn't say it's one of those things where I make it a point to redo something, but I also wouldn't say it's another day in the calendar. Like, obviously I recognize it. It's very personal to me, because it's the day before my dad's birthday, and my dad passed. So it's always like a good remembrance of him, like an early remembrance of him. So St. Patrick's Day has like a more personal touch for me and my family, especially being heavily Irish, and traditions like my family've had was smoking corned beef, and smoking cabbage, and just making traditional Irish meals. So like our Irish heritage is like deep in my family roots. So we definitely try to take the time to recognize it on that day, just for our heritage, and just out of personal sake for my late father. So that's kind of where it is for us in this last St. Patrick's Day. And it was like the first one with my son turning
that's awesome.
Being able to actually see and understand what was going around him. So made it a point to get him around, an Irish celebration and the beginnings of what his roots are, being Irish and all.
That's awesome. I know one place I prefer. Like I haven't made it out there for St. Patrick's Day, but in downtown or in the Disney Springs area, there's a place called Raglan Road, I think, and it's one of those where it's like upscale, like but it's you feel like you're at home, and you feel like I haven't been to Ireland, but I just felt like this is where I'm supposed to be, but in a classy way. Like it was a nice atmosphere. So that's one of my places that I like to try to frequent if I can. Darren, same question before we touch on the last topic. What St. Patrick's Day meaning to you and all that?
It means a lot. First thing I think of obviously is our dad. He loved it. I was able to march with him one year, and our brother Tom did as well in the New York City St. Patrick's Day Parade. Where we live right now, and my daughter lives right outside of Boston, so she was able to go down for the Boston St. Patrick's Day Parade. So that was just great. And I worked for 12 years in a very Irish bar as doing security and bouncing and such, and so it runs through our veins, and it was very fun. And to Tommy's point, I had some amazing smoked corned beef this year and smoked cabbage, and it was just so good. It was just so good. And the fact you gave me chills with you able to share that with your son, and first of all, God bless, that's great. Second of all, that's part of it. That whole generational, you pass it along, you tell the stories. It's just that's what it is. It's tough to explain, but it just is. And then from you also know that once you get past St. Patrick's Day, spring is coming. It's a great vibe. Again, I use that word.
My St. Patrick's Day, because we played on Tuesday night, so I also had corned beef, but it was not delicious nor good. I had Arby's corned beef, and it was terrible. And it was, that's all I can say. Like it was disgusting. But I love me some corned beef, and I'm just never gonna do that again. That was a bad choice.
Dude, there's an Arby's ref watching right now losing his mind.
It was. Yeah, let's just put it that way. And and what's sad is I should have learned my lesson, because my first ever gyro was from Arby's. I'm like, stop.
That sounds taboo.
Yeah.
It was
so
terrible.
you do your cultural food experiments at Arby's.
Yes, that's what's been going down. So final topic here, these last 15 minutes, I want to definitely set aside time for this. So Tyler, your thoughts on Toy Story 5 coming out later this year? No. So this past January, I believe it was. Now it was called the SHOT Show, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, SHOT Show.
SHOT Show. So tell us a little bit about that. I know a little bit. I've done some research and stuff, but tell those watching or those that'll be watching tomorrow kind of what to expect at that event. I know it's an annual show, but just tell a little bit about it and what to expect if that was something that someone wanted to do.
SHOT Show is a Super Bowl experience if you're a gun enthusiast. It's very lucrative to go to because it's a business-to-business convention. So you have to be affiliated with a business identity in the industry and be accepted to then be able to purchase a ticket. And it's an expensive buy-in. For example, some of these vendors, just to have a booth there can cost upwards to over $100,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And 99.9% of everything you're seeing there, it's not for purchase. It's just for show. And it's the newest stuff they're coming out with. There's some stuff you can pre-order, but it is a awesome experience to get hands-on with some of the best product gun industry. It's an amazing network opportunity. I was able to meet tremendous amounts of awesome people, especially, like you're in your world and you see like the Aaron Judges of the gun community just walking by you, and like everyone's a normal person, but you look around, you're like, oh my God, the guy I'm standing next to running a booth right now, just talking to everybody that's Matt Best, the guy that owns Black Rifle Coffee. And then, hey, I just walked by Ronin Tactical, who's a massive gun influencer and instructor, a renowned Green Beret. Then you have Lena Michalek, which is Jerry Michalek's daughter, who is a renowned world 10-time world, I believe, 10-time world champion, shooting champion. So just all these amazing people in the industry are all there collectively together at this awesome convention. It's a lot of great people. You get to see a lot of amazing new technology, new weapons, seeing where it's going. It's very hospitable. It's very unique. They set up their booths in ways where some of their booths are bigger than like a drive-in only Dunkin'. Like they're enormous. And then it's cool to see some of the business meetings taking place too with like the higher up officials, and a personal favorite brand of mine is Glock. And it was an amazing once in a lifetime opportunity to see Catherine Glock, the CEO there, being around, a very, very important person, obviously in the company, being the owner and all, just interacting with people there and showcasing the new products, especially with the Gen 6 coming out, allowing to take it apart and them being very knowledgeable, and then having Glock's pro shooters there. And then you have other companies involved in the gun community that showed up to give their input, give their reviews, do meets. So you have an amazing group called GBRS Group, Global Battlefield, GBRS, Global Battlefield Resolution Solutions, where they do a lot of instructor courses and they have real world experience being Navy SEALs. And they showed up and they act like normal guys, and they're awesome, and they're interacting with everybody, and they're looking over products, and they're answering questions and picking their brains. And it's so much knowledge is being dumped out there. It's like a massive gun nerd convention. So
That's great.
You're there talking with Daniel Defense or H&K or Christian in Arms, just like dissecting the product with these representatives. Or you have Palmetto State Armory, and then you're talking with these ammo manufacturers. And then there's different sectors of it where if you think locally, like the Melbourne Auditorium, that's like half of a section 1, and there's like 5 different sections where you need literally all 5 days to see everything to really experience it. You have everyone from all the major gun companies down to the local mom and pop shops that are just starting up, that are either building cases, that are building just like gun memorabilia styles, all the way down people that are still making Gatling guns. It's just everything in one. It's like a gun show on steroids. It's amazing. So if you're ever in a position where you can go to something like Go To SHOT Show, it is 100% worth it. You literally need a full week to see everything because there's just so much, and they have a lot of attention grabbers where this company is selling plate carriers, but they'll have $1 million MRAP sitting right in front of it just to get people together. Or there's a suppressor company that has a World War II refurbished Harley sitting right there just to bring people in. Just a lot of cool stuff, and people pushing boundaries of technology and introducing things that the stuff that you think about, like, and imagine of your profession or of your hobby, you're like, you know what, someone should make this. And it's like, it seems so far-fetched. And then you see it in real life. You're like, oh my God, someone made a quick disconnect suppressor. You're like, no more threading, quick like amazing technology is being produced. You're meeting a lot of amazing individuals. There's political figures that show up. There's amazing high-end profile people that are just being regular people there. And it's like I said, with the hospitality of things, like all of the booths, they're giving out free stickers and patches. I got shirts, you get hats. There's a lot of demonstrations as well, which is really awesome. They have raffles. So it's a awesome experience. So if you're heavily in the gun industry and the gun community, definitely make it a point at some point to go to it and enjoy the full time there. Get the full experience, network, meet people, ask questions. Go do the range day where you test out the firearms that's being presented on the new market. it's an awesome opportunity to get if you get it.
And Darren, I'm gonna yield to you for a question here, but before I do, definitely sounds like there's certain times where you're like, oh, I'm gonna go check it out. It doesn't seem like something you should go just check out, and like you should do the full experience, like you said.
No,
Like,
yeah.
if you're able to, obviously you can't just be anyone that walk in. Obviously, like you said in the beginning, that you have to have a way to get in and things like that. But sometimes you have to just go like all the way into something and really, because you're not going to get the full experience. All that stuff that you just shared, that's no way to do that in just one full day alone. I'm not sure if they had like breakout sessions and things like that as well. I always like that. Like, I like the large group setting. I like when you walk around display and they show you this and they show you that. But I like when they like break out into small and you can kind of tailor to what your interest is and that sort of thing. But go ahead, Darren. I'll yield to you for that.
There's so much I want to unpack. I know we don't have a lot of time concerning that because I am ignorant on so much that I should be, and being self-aware, that's a wonderful thing, and because I think it's the whole concept is wonderful, because knowledge. See, when you learn a little bit of something, it is dangerous, but when you learn more and more about it, preconceived notions, things that you were told is true might not be true. It's like I'll give you a great example, and I'll make this into a question. You mentioned about the Glock, right? So for Christmas one year, I got a loved one a Glock 17, right? They helped pick it out, and they want it, and for example, and they were a little intimidated by it because it doesn't have a standard safety on it. It has the trigger safety on it. What do you say to the person who's a little concerned about that, not having a regular safety on it, who has never had another gun before? This was their first gun.
I can completely understand their safety concerns, and that's a confidence issue, and it's not a negative confidence issue per se.
Right. It's just exactly.
It's if you never played outfield, and I told you to go play right center. Like, man, someone hits a space missile. Like, the confidence of, am I going to be in the position to do that? Versus like, hey, here's a firearm that doesn't have a safety, and depending on like, am I carrying this? Am I going to carry one in the chamber? So there's a confidence building. So there's steps to it. Now, if you like the Glock 17, you like how it shoots, and that's a concerning factor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I would say spend more time at home unloading, handling your weapon, breaking down your weapon, dry firing, practicing, home training, taking time at the range, and just really hammering in is weapon safety. That was the one thing that I got blessed with joining the Marine Corps, is that they drill it into your head very, very hard, because if you flag someone, you violate a weapon safety protocol, life is very miserable for you.
Right.
So it becomes a doctrine and a standard to follow weapon safety protocol at a time, which builds that confidence of like, me personally, like I said, I'm a fan of Glock. I carry Glock. I have complete confidence in that firearm. The same way I can tell you to get in your car and drive, and you could do it seamlessly because you know how it brakes, you know how it turns, you know when the wheel wobbles, like you know it. You're confident. And having a safety is kind of like a band-aid or a buffer, in my opinion, in a way. Now, it's with a grain of salt. Some people, for whatever reason, they still want that, and that's completely understandable and accepted. And there's some firearms like, hey, I really like this firearm, and it just doesn't come without safety, which is understandable.
Right.
Not a negative thing. It's just Glock just doesn't make ones with safety. And if you like Glock and you like the firearm, you have to build the confidence in that weapon for you to operate it correctly. And that hundreds and hundreds of people, and honestly, millions of people have been operating Glock without safeties, and so it is achievable to build the confidence and operate that weapon system. Obviously, without the safety, without confidence, without causing self-injury, and properly handling it. So
So I have two.
the core to it is just just spend time with the weapon.
So I have two quick follow-ups, just because this is, and a quick story too. So living where I did in Clovis, right outside of Fresno, we would go to Vegas a lot for gun shows, and some people may or may not have bought some ammo there because it's a lot cheaper. But we'll talk about that later, some other time. But people think about. I'm not going to get into the politics of it because it'll annoy me, but I have some people, friends, one of which is in the service now. He flies helicopters. Where he grew up from the time he was 11, 12 years old, doing those pistol runs where you're running, you have to shoot a target, you run some more, shoot a target. Outside, very competitive, a lot of fun. I forget what the official name for that is. And it's these kids and who become grown-ups, they're not psychos, they're well-adjusted. You mentioned it, I loved it, hearing it. They understand how you have to think and learn and study and get comfortable, and it's just a wonderful thing, but there's no but. However, so for example, with me, my dad, a legacy to him as well, I used to give out a lot of Narcan. I still do on occasion. I would go to different areas, and I remember something my dad told me. He said, if you need something real close, 5 feet or less, you got to get to right away. A 38 will never do you wrong. Is that still good advice? Because that's what I ended up getting. It was my first, was just a snub 38. Just because, again, you try and take the Narcan from me or whatever the case may be, get away. That because I'm not going to win any accuracy tournaments with the snub nose.
There's a little bit to unpack there.
Yeah.
You're running a 38, you're running 38 hollows, you're running a 38 special, you're running 38 FMJ. Am I running a specific round that's running 700 feet per second higher than a standard training ammo round? So you think
right, I have 38 special.
So you think about stopping power.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, and then you start thinking into, okay, whatever, I'm running 38. How many rounds am I carrying? If I
have 5.
Okay. So obviously close range, the number one bullet projectile that's killed more people in the history of mankind, can you guess? I'll give you a hint. It's real tiny.
Yes. 22?
22.
Yep.
Cowboys been shooting it forever. So like a 22 can put a human down. It's so the notion of like, oh, it's not a big enough caliber. You shoot someone with a 38, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be coming at you at full charge. Someone gets shot with a 22, a 38, or a 9. It's all going to come down to how long does it really take them to stop. And it could be fractions of seconds or 1-2 seconds. But if you're in a close enough 3 to 5 foot range, whether you're running 22, 38, mil, X, Y, and Z, especially 38 special, I think I personally, if you're running it for obviously close perimeter self-defense, it's a well-equipped round.
So my second thought is, again, this is older thinking, maybe for home protection. I was always told it's the shotgun. If you're for your significant other, that whole, it's just easy to use. Everybody, when they hear that shotgun get cocked and ready, they're either going to run or you're going to have to shoot. There's no in between.
Personally, they should never hear the ch because it should already be good to go. Because if someone's breaking into my house,
100%. No, 100%.
The way I walk out every day, it's open season. Like, I carry a Glock 9mm.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing stopping someone walking outside with 5.7, which is a pistol 5.56, or carrying a rifle under. It's possible. So when I think of someone coming into my home, so it's home defense, I'm under the assumption they have a weapon. And then everyone's house is built differently. And one of the safety rules, weapon safety rules, going back to that a lot of people neglect, is know your target and what lies beyond. So if I shoot you, per se, in such distance, close distance parameter of like where this is considered CQB in a household of self-defense, yeah, shotgun is a wonderful, but knowing that spread of what it's also going to hit, your how confident you are with that weapon of having to use it. So anybody can shoot when you're in a cool lane indoors, you're ready, you see the paper, versus I got woken up at 2 a.m. There's a crash and someone's in my house and it's dark and adrenaline just dumped on me.
Yep.
And I'm shaking.
Yeah.
And grabbing. So with shotguns, obviously running what kind of load are you running is going to make it 100% difference with like, if you miss someone, and because it's possible when you're under that much duress and stress and you throw a slug 3 feet off of them and it goes through 6 walls, like that's something to think about versus loading it with like a bird shot where you're doing a whole spread,
Right.
like with a clay shoot. Honestly, that's one of those situations when people talk to me about home defense, what they should have. It's honestly whoever is having to use what is what they're confident with.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. Like we had the protocol that we would do. What like we would talk about is when we lived in California, for example, we had a 2-level house, and if I wasn't home or whatever, and the plan was the kids, if we hear crashing downstairs, we don't go downstairs. Everybody runs into the master bedroom. My wife has the gun, the shotgun, and she's in the walk-in closet because that's that site. And you come in there, you're not going to mess with birdshot. You're not going to miss.
Yeah. So in a situation, so yeah, if you're in a stronghold position where, hey, we're held up here, and if anyone comes through that doorway that's not me,
Right.
like, of course, you're going to unload into them. A shotgun will do the job versus, hey, bump in the night, I have to get out of bed. What am I taking to clear my house?
100%.
100%. So I know the hallways. I know where I'm coming out of. I know where the entry points are. So those are my areas more likely. So I think about drywall's thin and rounds go through. So if I throw a round, that round's going through drywall. Where's that going? So what round?
100%.
I think so. If I'm operating indoors, I'm more than likely personally, if I'm on the hunt per se in my home, like I hear something, I know my house better than anyone. I can run through this house with my pistol very confidently and very fluidly versus trying to carry an 18-inch barrel shotgun roaming through my home.
No, I get you. No, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's a good point.
If something is outside my house happening per se, I would refer and go to my rifle because that rifle, obviously I'm now outdoors, and I'm using a bigger area of operation. I have optics, I have light, and it's a bigger stick to point at and deter away. And then you go into the legalities of whatever state you're in and the rules. And like with Florida specifically, like we have stand your ground to defend your castle wall.
Right.
So especially dealing with wild. I live on the outskirts of my town where we deal with wild animals. So something to take notion of. But like a property, like a weapon, whether I have a 22 revolver, I have my rifle, my weapon, my livelihood of my property, but also just knowing into the nitty gritty of things now we're getting to of this topic is with concealed weapons permit. This goes very hand in hand of when you are allowed to engage and when you're not allowed to engage. So, example, someone broke in and they turn away and they're running away.
You're not allowed to get.
This is a little education point now. And if you were to shoot them as they're running out of your house, like, you're in the fault.
Yep.
So it's things to take into notion of that when it comes to home defense. And you don't want to find yourself in a sticky situation.
Or no.
So, having, like I said, like, if I have to bring the fight outside my home, having a rifle versus a pistol, it's a big deterrent. Now, you never want to be outgunned. So, like, having something bringing through a fight of, like, you need to get off my property is a deterrent. Like, you need to leave. Versus, like I said, open season. I don't know who's coming onto my property with what.
Yep. I mean, no doubt. I mean,
now the battle space has come into my home. That goes to what fits my best attributes of what I can do. So I'll wrap that up there.
No, I get you. The only thing I was going to say was there's an old saying in law enforcement, civilian, and I've never was honored enough to be in the service. Colorblind. I got regular colorblindness, and I just ended up going to a different direction. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. That's it.
And so I'm going to I'll take this last one here as we call it Darren's final could be anything question, but I'm going to take this one for this episode. So the SHOT Show is through 2027. It's going to remain in Vegas, and it most likely will remain there after that. They've been there since 2020. But in a perfect world, next year, if you were able to, if this show was held in any U.S. city that you have not been to before, that you would love to most see and kind of take in the sights and sounds for maybe an entire week, that sort of thing, what U.S. city would you like to see that in to kind of get to visit and all that kind of stuff?
Ooh, that's a really, really good one.
That's a good question.
So on like I've traveled the U.S. Quite a bit for work, and I got to see a lot of awesome places. And I'm trying to think would probably be the best place for this convention in a place that I haven't been for the future. I think what first comes to mind, it could change with this one. I want to say Nashville.
Ooh.
I like that. I think that's a great answer. Yep. Because it has to be the right, like, it can't just be like, you're right. Like, it has to be a place that would fit the event and stuff too. And I think that's a great answer off the cuff.
Nashville is a city I have not been to. So I think that would fits all the criteria of that question, where it would make sense for me to place something like that. And a place I haven't been, that would have been awesome to go to. But where it currently is quite an epic place, I have to admit. At the Venetian, it is an experience going there.
Venetian's beautiful.
It is the best.
Yes.
It is
and
the best.
We have it, and Darren, we have time. You go ahead. You had a quick bonus question. You wanted to go ahead. And
you want me to ask that? No, you ask. You're doing the Darren question today. You asked that question. It's a good question.
You're good. I gotta do something small. On the side.
Okay. Real quick. Tommy, you mentioned about your Irish heritage, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but so I got to ask this question: how good is your Irish exit? How often do you use it? And when did you start to use it, if you use it?
Oh, my Irish accent?
No, exit. Your Irish exit. You know that term? The Irish exit?
Irish goodbye.
Yeah, that's right. The Irish goodbye.
Irish goodbye. Oh, I am awesome with it. It is my favorite. It is my favorite. How often do I use it? I'll tell you how often I use this. I did it when I left my last job.
Love that.
I literally told probably 5 people, I think, that I was quitting, and other dudes were asking me like, "Hey man, I heard you're leaving." Like, "Nah, man, I'll be here Monday." I love Irish goodbyes. I think it is my favorite practical joke. It is the most time-saving element. And it is such an easy excuse to be like, Irish goodbye. It's like, I'm Irish goodbye. And that became like a thing. That's what he does.
Yes.
All the way down.
It's wonderful.
It's funny, all the way down to when my dad passed, my sister said, he Irish goodbye us because we were in hospice and I had to be with him. And then I was by his side for like 18 hours straight. And we had to go downstairs for breakfast and stuff. And I made sure I say goodbye to him. I was like, this guy's going to do it when I'm not there. And sure enough, he Irish goodbye.
That's the Irish goodbye. Yeah, I called it the exit goodbye. You're right. Yeah, and that is funny, and that's how he went, right? He Irish goodbyes you.
Oh yeah, I got there minutes late. We got a phone call from the nurse, and I was like, "That he wouldn't do it when I was there. He wouldn't go when I was there. He had to Irish goodbye us." But yeah,
it's a blast moment.
I use it as much as I possibly can, to be honest, because I find it hysterical and fun, and it always makes a good story. I had plenty of times where, even I'll tell one more story about it. I know you guys were getting tight on time. I went out with some friends for his wife's birthday, and we had a great time and all, and kind of got separated a little bit at the establishment we were at. And because they were playing pool and I was playing darts with some other group of friends, we're all like kind of the same party. And then I just got to a point in the night where I needed to go home. And so I called my wife and I was like, hey, I need you to come get me. I think it's time. And I just didn't tell anybody. I just left.
That's what you do.
They were my friends freak out. They're like, oh my God, it felt like The Hangover. We were looking for you. Like we lost Tyler. And then someone I was playing darts with, like, oh no, his wife came and got him. And it's just like, oh yeah, that's what I do. I Irish goodbye people. It's just, I find it
Bless you.
Bless you.
Oh man, that's funny. So this has been a blast. We always say the quickest hour, but just a little bit over an hour. Thank you so much for jumping on with us, and glad we got to do this. Just a quick heads up, though, that you guys that are watching this. So this coming Thursday, 9:00, we're going to have Sean on with us, Sean Schofield. We haven't had on in a bit. Let me see. Was that the right one here? Or was that the Darren? Was that this one here? Or was that
the Yankees and Boston champs hat and the Yankees?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it wasn't Sean. Okay. So Sean, former MLB umpire, will be on with us Thursday night, 9:00. Thursday is opening night. So we're going to talk about, or opening day, I should say. So we're going to talk about all things opening day for Major League Baseball. He'll be on with us 9 p.m. on Thursday. And then on Sunday, this one I'm looking forward to, 8:00 this Sunday, we're going to go to the top 10 baseball movies of all time, kind of in line with Major League Baseball season starting. So we're going to unpack that this coming Sunday. So some awesome stuff to look forward to. But again, thank you, Tommy O, Tyler. Thank you for being on, Darren, as always. Anyone watching this either today or they'll be watching the rest of this week, thank you. Hit that like button, hit that share button, turn notifications on. But please, most importantly, spread the word. We want to get to 5,000 by the end of subscribers by the end of July is the goal. So you can help us get there. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, we'll see you around the ballpark. Bye, guys.